We're here today with Mary Troude, Customer Success Manager of Fexco Pace ESG. Mary, lovely to have you here.
Hi, Fionnuala. Thank you very much for having me.
No problem. We really appreciate you taking the time to do this podcast with us today, sharing your knowledge around customer success. So let's get stuck in. So what are some key strategies or techniques you employ to ensure ongoing customer satisfaction and retention within your organisation?
Yeah, so look, I suppose there are a couple of different key strategies. Everything we do and everything that needs to be done around customer success, customer satisfaction, retention, one word I would say would be communication. It's the centre point of everything. So establishing proactive communication channels, I suppose, to stay engaged with customers. That's very important. We would do this through monthly business reviews, MBRs, which are essentially check-ins with customers. We do QBRs, ABRs, annual reviews. These meetings, I suppose, are more about strategy, opportunity to work together, co-development, and turning a business relationship into a win-win collaborative relationship. So that would be one key strategy, is that proactive communication with the customers. Something else then would be we have a very personalised onboarding process. So we offer personalised onboarding sessions, and that ensures that the customers understand how to maximise the value of the product. If they don't know how to use the product correctly, they're not going to use it, full stop. So that will be failure. So it's those onboarding sessions I think are very, very important as well, and a key strategy. Personalised is the key word here, just to make them feel special. It's all about that really. And then another strategy would be the ongoing training throughout their journey with your product, with Pace. So you have to give them ongoing training. They might not need to use it for 6 months and then need to pick it up again, and you need to be there to help them at all enter points into the system. You need to have the resources to help customers continuously improve their usage. Obviously, the more employees in a company that use a product and use Pace, the more they realise the value of the product. And then the more they become an advocate, and it becomes infectious, and more people start using it. And I suppose Bertie Murphy would employ a term called "make them famous," and it's something I've thought about a lot. He does say it a lot, and it's something I do.
Good.
It's something I do think about. When dealing with customers, it's who in the organisation are you going to make famous for that person to be your Pace person within the organisation and to be a very good advocate. And if you've several, even better again. So that would be another key strategy, I think, for customer satisfaction and retention. Then another thing is getting feedback. So it's important to regularly solicit feedback through surveys, check-ins, those business reviews I was talking about a little earlier on. And something that's also very important is addressing any concerns immediately, promptly, and to follow through.
Yeah, no, it's super important as well, the point around the personalisation of the training. So I assume you're going to meet with your customer first and gather their requirements and then tailor everything to their needs after that.
Yeah, there's a whole load of prep that goes on through the sales cycle first of all, and then through the onboarding cycle. You need to know who you're dealing with. You need to know what they're about, what their general needs are, what each person or each persona's need is, and how you are going to train them to make sure you meet with that need. So it's not just sitting down and doing a training session and showing them Pace. There's a lot of prep work to it, and you have to do it in a smart way, because obviously the better you do that, the more successful that customer will be.
For sure. I really like the idea of make them famous. You had mentioned in the presentation just before this podcast, make them the hero in the organisation. I really, really like that. So in your experience, how do you effectively identify and address customer pain points or challenges to enhance their overall experience with the product or service?
So look, again, it's regular touch points with customers. You want to conduct regular customer feedback sessions. Maybe in the future we'll move towards surveys, what we would call NPS surveys, which is essentially customer feedback as well in a more formalised way. Currently what we do is the regular feedback sessions, creating a relationship with your main contact within those organisations, and to have as good a relationship as possible so that they'll be honest in their feedback, because that can only make us better. So that's vitally important. Then I suppose, look, connected is the active listening. I know we all say you need to active listen. We hear about it. We all know what it is, but it's not. It's just so important when it comes to customers, be it them giving suggestions or complaining about something, and actively listening to that to understand not what they're saying, but what they mean. And I think there's a difference there. You can listen and hear the words, but what do they actually mean? And I think addressing it after, you get feedback, but you have to follow through on it. You have to keep the trust, or you have to build the trust. And without that, I think it's very hard to be successful in customer success with any product, because if you don't follow through and you don't build trust and you don't say what you do, you'll say, essentially you won't keep your customer base.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely. And I suppose, like, following on from the presentation, you mentioned NPS score. So an NPS score, like, that's all well and good to do, but it's ideal, I would say, to try and meet your customer in person and talk to them, because I just suppose through a flow of conversation, they divulge a little bit more than they would through NPS score. So perhaps, people who do have a smaller client base would be able to do something like that. Where possible. Would that be your view, that, look, if you can, try meet them face to face?
Yeah, I think nothing beats that personalised touch. I know in the future we'll have to find ways to bridge that gap between having the facility to be personalised and meet face to face as our customer base grows. But I can't at the moment imagine a better way than actually meeting them face to face, and there's other customer pain points as well. And how do we identify them? It's another thing we do is we analyse the customer usage data.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. That's very good.
Because, we have the data. The important thing is analysing it and getting actionable insights out of it, because it helps you identify patterns, areas where a customer might be struggling. If there's a certain customer, that customer, let's say, is from the risk department of a customer, he should be looking at dashboard A, B and C, and you see he's not. It does give you that insight to kind of say, I think this guy is struggling, I think he's disengaged from the platform, and it gives you that opportunity to bring him back.
Yeah, no, great.
So that is another way that we are able to, I suppose, identify issues. There's lots of things that we do. I suppose, look, another thing as well is collaborating cross-functionally to ensure customer concerns are addressed promptly and effectively. So I know we spoke about this earlier on about following through, but something I think that is extremely important for any company and for customer success, long-term customer success, is I think your whole organisation needs to be absolutely customer orientated and have what I would call customer attitude, and not just the customer success department, because we'll only get there working together. Yeah,
no, 100%. We're working through our values at the moment, and one of them is around, one of our strong ones that we've chosen is around the customer, and just being customer obsessed and making sure you put the customer first, give first, and receive after. Could you share a memorable success story where your team went above and beyond to meet a customer's needs, resulting in a significant satisfaction and loyalty? Is there any story you might be able to relate to us?
So many, I wouldn't know where to start.
Oh, very good. There you go.
Well, no, look, I suppose one that does come to mind would be in relation to a bank that is one of our customers. They're based in London. And I guess when we started talking to this bank, you might say that they had begun their carbon emissions journey with another data supplier. But I think maybe they weren't digging into the data presented to them, enough to analyse and strategise, okay? Then Pace was given an opportunity to work with them in conjunction with this other data provider, and it became quite clear that there were big differences in the data sets presented to them. So obviously one by us and one by the other data provider. So they were used to the other data provider, you see. We were new, we were the newbies, and I think the relationship did actually become a bit strained with us at that time, because the bank was, I suppose, inclined to think that it was Pace data that was incorrect. Again, because they were used to working with the other provider. And it kind of felt like we were confusing them and frustrating them. So we had to step back from it and have a good think about it. We knew, of course, that the Pace data was the best in class, obviously.
Of course.
And we knew that it would become evident to everybody sooner or later at the bank. But I suppose, look, what we did was, instead of being pushy or defensive, we actually made a decision to concentrate 100% on the customer experience, and we knew we'd win them over on the customer experience. What we ended up doing, actually doing, was we took the bad data from the other supplier, we analysed it, we reworked it. We got a third party to verify it. We went to London to meet with them more than once. We had endless conference calls with them.
Wow.
All of this with a company who wasn't paying us any money at the time.
Yeah,
it was a prospect as opposed to a customer, but we knew if we did it this way that we would be successful, or it was our hope anyway at the time. So we put in a huge amount of effort, time, money, essentially, into the relationship. And I suppose our stance is that we were going to help this customer to get to a place where they were confident in the data they were presenting. And that's what our key, objective was, I suppose, when we took this decision. We didn't want to leave the customer high and dry, because they were essentially confused. They were like, oh my God, we've been reporting this and now it looks like it's all wrong, and what are we going to do, So I suppose after all of that, we eventually came out the other side of it just before Christmas. The customer came to realise that our data was absolutely correct, almost identical to airline reported data. Yeah, almost identical to the airline reported data, sorry. And that our methodologies were the most advanced of any other data suppliers. So look, long story short, we got some lovely emails thanking us for our assistance, support and our patience, and it was all topped off with a 3-year contract deal.
Oh, wow.
So, it was amazing, and it just goes to show how far customer success and how far working as a team and being customer-centric can get you.
Yeah.
You have to put in the hard yards, but you do get it back.
I mean, talk about going above and beyond.
Now, you can't do that every day with every customer or every prospect, but we really did believe, we knew that our data was head and tails above anybody, head and shoulders, above anyone else.
Yeah.
That is one example, I suppose, of going above and beyond and coming out the right side of it in the end, yeah.
What made you zone in on the customer experience?
I suppose we had confidence in the data. We knew the data was right. It was a question of getting them to see and to understand that our data was correct without shoving it in their face.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
you.
Because it could become conflictual that way, and we didn't want it to go that way. It was, I suppose, accompanying them on their journey to understanding what was going on, and, I suppose holding their hand until they got to the end of the journey. We did a bit of work for them. We handed it over to them. We didn't tell them, it's because the others, there was no comparison or they're bad, we're good. It was nothing like that. It was just, again, customer experience, talking to them, helping them understand, answering their questions, re-explaining things to them maybe more than once. And it all just came together, and it stood to us,
What a prime example of what can happen when you put the time into listening to your customer.
Yeah.
So with the ever-evolving landscape of customer expectations, what trends or shifts do you anticipate in the realm of customer success management in the near future, because it is ever-evolving?
Yeah, so look, we kind of touched on this as well earlier on in the presentation. AI is going to play a role, absolutely. How it's going to play a role, I don't personally know. But I know it's there. I know a lot of the bigger companies are already using it for their customer support, for their customer success. We spoke about HubSpot earlier on, so that's another example. I think there's going to have to be an emphasis on predictive analytics to be able to go from answering customer needs to anticipating the customer needs, because it's all about preventing churn, really. We want to retain them. So that's definitely one trend I think that will come. Like I said, integration of AI, machine learning for more personalised customer interactions. Again, touched on it earlier on as well with some questions from the floor, very interesting. Another thing I think that needs to grow is self-service options for customers. And again, this all feeds into empowering customers, making them the hero, like we said. So, self-service options to empower them, reduce reliance on support teams, but being there in the background if they need us. So I think it's a balance. There has to be some kind of balance there, because we all know we hate ringing someone and getting a machine. Okay, maybe the world will change and maybe people will get used to it a little bit more. But for now, I know me personally, and I'm very old, that's probably why, I like having a person on the other end of the phone. So it's how do you find the balance between making a customer feel like they have that support, but automating some of it or integrating AI into it, do you know? I think we need to continue building strong emotional connections with customers to drive loyalty. And that's what I'm all about, actually. It's the emotional connection with customers. I think if you could put it in one sentence, that would be, I suppose, what my ethos is and what I think will drive the success of Pace in the future. And then, of course, emphasis on customer advocacy and community building, because the more we get happy customers talking to each other, the more it will generate for our business. So, yeah, they'd be the main things I think I'd see in terms of future trends.
I really like the self-service, make it more, doable.
Empower.
I really, really like that, because, and I'm the same, when AI would be great, and it depends on the purpose and if it is, effective and efficient and it's going to save the customer time, all well and good, brilliant. But when I have to ring the bank and I have to press 1, press 3, press 5, and I'll never get through to somebody. And I think that's where maybe the standard does need to be raised, especially and hopefully AI will do something in that realm.
AI is going to be totally different to what we know today from like you were talking about their IVR systems, the telephonies and all that. AI is going to bring something amazing. I'm sure it will. I suppose we all just need to be more familiar with it, and then we'll be able to judge it better. But in my head, I always think of, we also have to remain that personalised, keep the personalised balance, the balance of personalisation as well. And it's hitting the right spot, I suppose, is important.
Yeah, for sure. You did say in the presentation, and I actually took a note of it, live your life with your customer.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's very true.
You have to walk in his shoes. You have to walk in your customer's shoes to understand what they need, why they need it, and how you're going to give it to them.
Absolutely. Everyone wants to feel when they're talking to somebody in customer success, I'm your most important client.
Yeah.
And that's the way you should make your customer feel.
Yeah.
How do you measure the success and effectiveness of your customer success initiatives, and what metrics or KPIs do you find most valuable in assessing customer satisfaction?
Well, look, I suppose the main one we use in Pace today, and Pace is still a young company, so that will change in the future, but one of the main ones, and we'll continue to do this obviously as well, there might be just other ones added. One of the main ones we use is the utilisation metric. So how active are our customer base in using the product? That is second to none. We need to know that. I'm very lucky to have a great team who put together dashboards and reports for me. So it gives me loads of insights.
There's nothing like a good dashboard.
I know, data is everything. Data is everything, and a dashboard's even better. So that's what I work with primarily at the moment. It is great for me. It's great for the sales team. It is great for anybody who's going to be talking to the customer, might meet them at an event, or you just don't know, so it's great to have that data. We're looking at doing satisfaction surveys, so something like NPS in the future. So it's really about assessing their overall happiness and their likelihood to recommend Pace to somebody else. And like I was saying earlier, every customer, should link us to another new customer, and that's what we strive. That's, by doing everything we do, that should fall into place naturally, So that's something else we'll be looking at. Another metric we would look at is the churn rate, so the rate of retention. You track the percentage of customers who discontinue their subscription. For now, I can gladly say that we're at 100% renewal. So it's great. May it long continue. And they're the main ones actually I use at the minute. Now again, as Pace grows and becomes more mature, there'll probably be other ones, because there are other standard CSM industry-based metrics that you would use. But right now, they're the main ones I'm using.
Mary, thank you so much.
No problem. Delighted to be here. Thanks for having me.
It was wonderful. Really enjoyed the conversation. Really enjoyed the presentation. Learned so much. Sure, we're bringing you back over, are we not? You're going to be going through a couple of the CRM, and I'd say now the RDI Hub staff will be plaguing the life out of you. Mary's going to come over and help us hit our targets.
If the price is right.
Very good. Thanks a million.
Thanks a mil, Fionnuala.